Hello, welcome to that Peter Crouch podcast. Notorious SID and Chris Starkle with me. This has been long overdue, this guest. It's Mr. James Collins.
What
or Ginge.
Yeah, it's got to be Ginge. If you say James, I'm good. If you say James, I'll be miles away.
Obviously our team was quite polite and they're calling you James, but you obviously weren't happy with that.
Not happy. I just feel like I'm in trouble when someone calls me James. I've always been Ginge. Obviously in football from 15, 16, leaving school, always Ginge. So
would the refs call you Ginge as well, or not?
No,
I just see that because same as me. Like Sid's, like no one ever called me. Oh, Stephen, come here. Like same thing. Like he was in trouble.
Like, Phil Dowd used to get on all right with. Not a big fan of refs anyway, but used to get on all right with him. He was always Ginge.
Yeah.
Quiet him down.
Do you reckon when you got booked, they wrote it in as Ginge?
Probably. I mean, I wish I should have had it on the back of my shirt at some point, but it's always.
Is that allowed? Is that? I've never. I don't know. You have to have your last name on your shirt.
Well, no, because
some
the foreign boys now are just putting what they want on.
The Brazilian boys, that's not their names, is it? So I'm sure they all do that. So
well, we talked about this. Like I said, what if I just said at the start of one season, I want to be called Crouchinho? Why? You can't discriminate.
I mean, there's many reasons why. Why we didn't do that.
But hold on, you're right though. You were called a Ginger Pele.
Oh yeah.
Talk us through that nickname.
I mean, to be called Pele is just. I obviously get the Ginger shout, obviously, but I don't know. It's bizarre, isn't it? Couldn't be further from.
I love it though. You said to me, we talked about this off air a minute ago. He said a couple of times, like, there's a fella walking down the street, just shouts like, Pele!
And I turned round.
And he turns around.
It's like, my missus looks at me and goes, really? Even my missus knows, do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's great. It's the West Ham fans started it from somewhere, but still to this day, like same as us boys, been retired 5 years now, and it's still the same as what it was when I was playing. It's mental.
Did you ever get a chance to meet Pele?
No. Never.
That's a shame.
I know.
I'm still blown away by the fact you met Maradona at the training ground.
I saw that picture.
It was an amazing picture.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's an icon. It's actually one of them ones where you, like we said, didn't we? It's a bit surreal, but even then you don't take it in. You just it felt like the norm, but it was a bit like, oh right, yeah, Maradona was in today. It weren't like, oh my God, you won't believe what happened today.
Do you find there's lots of stuff like that though when you were playing? Like you look back now, you're finished. We really did that. Yeah. Like places you've been and stuff like that. It's mental, isn't it? Really, you look back.
What comes to mind for you then?
I think just places I've been. Like now I've got kids and that. You sit there and go, we're going so and so, and I go, oh yeah, been there. Played football there. What did you do? Not a lot. In the hotel, had a game, had a couple of beers, and come home. But like, do you know what I mean? I've got a mad at something like that.
Played a bit of football.
Yeah, we mad one like that. We played San Marino with Wales years ago, right? I was playing centre half. San Marino centre forward. He was half tidy, to be fair. Give me having a bit of banter with him, like I used to do on the pitch. Have a bit of banter. Give me quite a tough game. End of the game, shook his hand, off he went. Went back to the hotel. The geezer played centre forward, serving behind the bar.
Shut up.
No way.
So I ended up having a couple of beers with him, but he's serving. He was just playing for San Marino that night.
And he was pretty tidy.
He was all right. He could play, like. I can't remember what the score was, but he was back serving behind the bar.
That's wild, because I would assume if you're put in a hotel, the staff there are there must be a contract or something they signed that they're not going to blab, because they must hear all sorts.
Yeah,
let alone be playing for the
team. Mad. But like, just things like that, places you've been, people you've met, it's just mental. You don't really realise when you're playing.
While we're touching on that, because you talk about Wales, and that must have taken you to some great places, and obviously, great experiences you had. Obviously, the 2016 when at Euros was amazing. But talk us through your Wales career and how it started.
Yeah, mad, really. Like, I feel really lucky now looking back that I sort of saw both sides of it. When I first got in the squad, I was young, 18, maybe 17. Good mates in there. Danny Gabardon, obviously, is my best mate. Ernie, but we always had really good players even back then, but we never really did anything, never qualified. And you look back and you think, probably meeting up in the wrong mindset, We'd meet up, you'd go out on a Sunday night, and we didn't really have it. But such a those sort of players back then. Mark Crosley was in the squad, like big characters, great times. But on the pitch, we didn't really do a lot. And then luckily, towards the end, when I sort of was finishing, 2016, Bale came in, Rambo, those sort of boys, and we had an amazing team. But just, I look back at my Wales career. I only played 50 games. Made my debut at 17. It was like should have been 100 caps really. And I don't know why. One of them things. We didn't qualify. Didn't play as many games as what England do maybe. So there wasn't that opportunity to make those caps. but always had a great time. Met up with the Wales boys. It was always good fun. Massive characters.
Oh, yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? 'Cause you're right. When you actually look back, all the squads,
Yeah.
a lot of household names in it. A lot of names you'd recognise. But why did you not do so well at the start? You had good players. Was it like you said? There was a mindset. Was it just a
maybe.
mindset that we're not good enough to perform at this level? Or?
I think it was. I can say it now. I think it probably was a lot of things, like the way we trained, where we trained, the way we travelled, that sort. Do you know what I mean? So it was sort of meeting up. This is how I felt. I'm sure everyone don't feel the same, but it was just we was meeting up to get together, and there was a game. Do you know what I mean? It sounds mad. You're playing for your country. It's the best thing, but we never really kicked on. You look at the players, Giggsy, like even further back, Mark Hughes, Speedo, Sav, loads of household names, but never really could do it. Got close a couple of times, but never got there until 2016, which was mental.
Don't you think that might have been what was the secret sauce that a lot of other international teams never really managed, which was there was this real 2016 when you look at that feeling, you looked like you were all having such fun. You looked like you had this real togetherness. You looked like you were a team that for one, don't want to misquote Gareth Bale here, but it's like Wales was the priority, and it was enjoyable to. And maybe that has come from what you're talking about there, rather than the team chopping and changing too much.
Yeah, I think there was a certainly in the Wales team there was a massive change when Gary Speed took over.
Yeah.
Probably Sparky, probably Mark Hughes before that changed the way. Like I mentioned, the training ground. You got training ground. We travelled better, ate better. And there was and that team under Sparky almost qualified. Lost to Russia in the playoff, which is a good team as well back then. But then Speedo come in, and we all, God bless him. The levels, the player he was, and the standards and the levels he set, he just changed everything. Yeah. And then the FAW as well changed the way.
It is really good there, isn't it?
Yeah, like the training ground, you've seen it yourself.
Like, we never.
We did.
I did the same. We never. Looking back to my start with Wales career, you probably never see that coming. And then, obviously, we had the best player in the world, the most expensive player in the world, which sort of elevated everything. But credit to the FAW, because they got everyone playing the same sort of way. Yeah. Youth, getting young players in. Gaz played when he was 16, and it just took off. And honestly, it was like meeting up with... You talk about like international teams, it was like being at a club. The boys knew each other since they were 14, and it was just incredible.
I remember being with Joe Allen and
what a guy.
Yeah, love him. Absolutely love him. And... He was. I just looked at him, and they all looked so excited to go away with their country. And I looked round at some of the England players, and you looked at them and you thought, they don't want to be here, and you think it's kind of the privilege. Yeah. It's probably the pinnacle of your career, and you can see that players didn't want to be there, and the environment was, especially under kind of Capello, it was very much regimented. It was strict. It wasn't like a club. Yeah. It felt like no one was really mates. Whereas I looked at the Welsh boys, and I'm looking like they just couldn't wait to be away. They just looked like you had so much. You had a laugh as well as Paul. Yeah.
It was like going when you boys were at Stoke, that sort of banter, but you're playing for your national team, and it's unheard of. It was great characters, good match. Chris Coleman in 2016 was brilliant as well. It wasn't. So even when we were in France, 2016, like we'd win a game and won a lot of games, and Cookie'd let us have a beer in the dressing room. There'd be a crate of lager in, enjoying the good times. And then obviously when the football came in, you're down, you're working. But there was. I think we was away 9 weeks in all. It's the best 9 weeks of my life. Like honestly, I swear to God,
so good.
It was just unreal. Because Cookie, I was an older player at the time, and Cookie was great. I didn't play many games. He knew I'd like a beer or whatever, so it was a dry school or whatever. But he let me have a beer because I was a bit older. As long as I was good around the lads, trained hard every day. It was just amazing. We had the great balance of all the boys being together. Football was going great. Obviously, if it's going well on the pitch, it helps, doesn't it? Yeah. And it was just round the hotel. It was just boys, darts. It was just unbelievable.
Even the fans felt like they bought into it as well. Everywhere you went, it was like it was a buzz.
Oh, mate, I was in that fan park for I can't remember which one it was, but in 2016 I was in that fan park in front of the Eiffel Tower, and the Wales fans were phenomenal. There was a real. What's the word for it? Synergy between the fans and the players. It felt like everyone was on the same page.
Talking about I feel like you might tell me different. Looking from the outside, they're all like normal boys, though. Do you know what I mean? Like Joe Allen don't get a mention. What a boy! Do you know what I mean? Unbelievable footballer. I think he got in the team of the tournament. That tournament, by the way, doesn't really get mentioned, but just really good lads, and sort of relatable to the fans, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Which the fans are happy, the football's going well. It all sort of mixed. In the hotel, the training ground was great. It was just, honestly, it was an unbelievable time.
So were you setting the rules, would you say? Like, was it a kind of situation by then that you as players had made this culture, then managers to a certain extent had to kind of fit into that and hopefully encourage and promote it?
Yeah, it just sort of it's sort of naturally developed into that, if you like. Do you know what I mean? We had older players like myself, Ash Williams, who was our captain, but we had still have a lot of younger lads as well. So it's sort of, I feel like any good team, you know, the dressing room's massive, and the characters you got in it was sort of, there was certain stuff that would happen that we didn't have to go to the manager with. The older boys would sort out or something like that. The old school fines were going on and forfeits. Who was having a sing song, and probably a little bit last of the old school, what I saw really in that squad in 2016, what it used to be like, you know.
Just quickly, how was the dynamic between? Because I always think this with the Wales team. Quite often you have like Gareth, Bale, you know, yourself, Joe Allen, players playing in the Premier League, and then you'll have players playing maybe in the Championship, sometimes League One or League Wales, or you know, young players coming through like that. How's the dynamic? Because with the England team, you're all, you know, in the Premier League, and how is that dynamic? And
just normal, not even an issue. You just go there and you're part of a team.
But would you feel a sense of duty to look after those boys that maybe, you know, are playing bigger games than they used to?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But anyone who came in had probably been in the ranks or sort of knew it. I think that team in 2016 sort of set the standard. So the under 21s, the 18s all had that sort of level, the way we played and that sort of thing. So I think when they got into the first team, whatever club you came from, that was it. And you're playing for your country. The love the Welsh players have to play for Wales is second to none.
So I was going to say a similar question, but because it doesn't really happen with England, where you got lads like you, obviously grew up in Newport. Yeah. So you got Welsh lads that are there. Then some can qualify through, you know, an English lad, for instance, that lives in London, but he can qualify through his great grandmother.
Well, I think
or
Ashley
grandfather.
Williams had a sandwich in Bridgend Services. Ended up being our captain. So I know exactly where you're going.
But he's well loved by the Welsh people, you would say, right?
Absolutely amazing. What a skipper. Embraced it, loved it. I'm not saying he's any Welsh than anyone else. He was amazing, but I get what you mean. But
still the same.
Still the same.
Yeah,
exactly the same.
That's
Playing
brilliant.
for Wales, playing for your country, give you all every game. And it was honestly that 9 weeks in France, to get to where we got, never being spoke about. Just qualified. Don't know if we're going to get out of the group. I'm in the semi-final. And it's the only game we lost was the game I played. Semi-final. And I say to this day, right, I only played because Ben Davis got suspended and Aaron Ramsey was suspended. So I came in for Ben and Andy King came in for Rambo. I don't want to say Kingy, but I think if those two boys played, I reckon we win the game. Do you know, there was such a role going on, and not that I don't think I did anything wrong in the game. You know, I played all right, obviously marking Ronaldo. But I think because he scored a header that game. I don't know if you've seen the header in the first one. I've never seen anything like it. I remember I went front stick with Jose Font, who was at West Ham at the time. So I'm marking Jose. James Chester's marking Ronaldo. And it's gone over my head. I want to say 3-4 foot. So I'm thinking this corner's going out the other side for throwing. I've looked round and he's up like honestly.
Did you look round and he was there?
He was there. Look, like that. His knees were like by my head. And he seemed like he was up there for about half hour.
Have you seen it slow-mo?
No, it's not. It's outrageous.
It's unbelievable. I think it's just like
his head's over the crossbar.
But he jumps earlier, but it's still there
still
later. So I don't understand how that. I don't understand how it.
Airtime. But talk us through. Like, obviously, I think it was the Belgian game. Was it Harold Robson-Kanu when he does the turn?
Greatest goal ever seen.
I mean, that's got to be one of the greatest in Wales
I think it's
history.
the greatest goal ever seen because none of us knew Hal could do it. Yeah. I don't think he even knew himself what he was doing. So it makes it even better. But now what For sure. Yeah.
That buzz.
Just obviously going into that game, Belgium at the time. What was it? Was that quarters or semis? Semis. No, we lost in the semis. Quarters. So just like it's another game. You know what I mean? With quarterfinal Belgium. What a team. And just sums up our team. Just no fear going into it. Why not? I think they went 1-0 up early as well, didn't they? And then just don't know. Just the magic of that tournament. Bit of sort of momentum. Obviously the way it was going. Hal doing his thing. And just mad. And then we had people like Joe Ledley as well, like talking about after the game.
Another really good player,
Massive guy. Premier League, 300 games in the Premier League. just.
We used to do a little dance after, do we?
But that stuff like that as well, which made it the dance after the games and seeing the fans on the beers, and you'd have your family up there. And then you'd be in the dressing room and there would be one, everyone's buzzing, you'd come walking in with a crate of lager and it was just everyone. It wasn't just the boys and Kitman was involved. Do you know what I mean? It was just unreal.
On that specific game, do you remember walking out and seeing the fans and thinking, because was it that one where you nearly took over the stadium as well?
Yeah.
Like majority
it seemed like most games we did that. The first game against Slovakia, I remember walking out. I'm Welsh. The Welsh national anthem for me is the best national anthem.
Listen, that's what I learned in school, didn't I? Mr. Evans
Did
told me.
He does. He knows off by heart.
We'll have a sing-song later.
Do you get a bit jealous of that? A little
Well,
bit?
I do, because you know what, Mr. Evans, he was a bit legend in our school, obviously, because he was Welsh. But everyone who's Welsh, Mr. Evans is an absolute legend. He's in an English school.
Yeah.
I knew that. I knew the Welsh one before I knew the English one.
Yeah, you genuinely do. Give a little blast. Do a little blast.
Gwlad, play the old Rwy van Gwlad.
I'm not sure that's the words, but we'll go with it.
Close enough. It's close enough.
Is it all coming back to 2016?
It sounds right. But yeah, just when that, I don't know if the England boys have or whatever, when that's sang and it's no band, it's just the anthem. It's something different, and the rugby's the same now. But the fans, and do you know what? I know boys who went for the first game, didn't go home.
Stayed.
Half old skint now, not got a job, but they stayed out there for like the 9 weeks.
Thinking of stories, though.
Everyone was in it together, and it was just, honestly, you ask any boy who's in that squad, best time of your life.
But you say it was a lot of fun. What about before a game? I mean, how sort of intense was it, or serious, or was there the sort of mother of all team talks before? When did it turn into that sort of game?
I've mentioned a lot how we enjoyed ourselves, which I think rightly so you should do if you get results and do what we've done. But before the lead up, our coaches, Osham Roberts, probably done your
Yeah, brilliant.
As in the detail of, we didn't really have a way of playing. I don't know if the boys, I was on the bench a lot and sort of seeing it and getting a bit older. We didn't have obviously we had Gaz, get the ball to Gareth Bale, let him do his thing. Aaron Ramsey, great players. But the work that went into just every game, right, we're playing so-and-so today, this is how we're going to beat them. We're playing Belgium today, this is how we're playing Russia, this is how we'll beat them. It wasn't a fix, we're playing into midfield back. It was how are we beating this team on the day.
Yeah.
And that would be the lead up in the week to that.
And it was thorough.
Yeah, and probably the first time I really saw the unit meetings and individual meetings and stuff like that, but worked a treat. It was
without getting too technical, was like you playing like a box midfield? Like was you? Because that was the first time I think as Wales maybe you saw the box.
Yeah, probably. Look, I could say it now. In my head, it was you boys defend, get the ball back, give it to Gareth, give it to better players. That's the way I played all my football. City's a better player than me. I'll defend. I'll give it to City. He's better than me. So
I'll give it to someone else.
And then you give it to someone better than you. But that was. I'm not saying that was the plan or the tactic, but we knew we had a fucking world beater.
But how good was Gareth? So
why wouldn't you get the ball to him as often as you could?
How good was he? I mean, listen, I was at Tottenham when he went from a real shy left back to one of the greatest attacking players we've ever seen.
Assist at Milan.
I'd probably set him on the road. Really, he might not become Gareth Bale without that. But how good was he? And did you see things in training that?
We obviously knew a Gaz. He came into the squad when he was 16. John Toshak brought him in, and he was a left back at Southampton. Yeah. And he's just different. You could see it even then. He was just different. The way he used to strike the ball and. Just different, the way he handled himself at a young age, the way he lived his life was probably slightly different to mine. But you could just see it. You could just see it a mile off. And then over time, we all saw him turn into, like you say, the most expensive player in the world. I don't know if there was obviously moving it. He was always going to move forward because of the way he played the game, but just phenomenal. Best I've seen. Best I've been involved with.
He was quite shy, wasn't he? And nervy a bit as a left back, and he kind of grew as a man. But I remember when he was going through that spell at Tottenham when he hadn't won for ages, and it was really getting him down. You could see it was getting him down. But in training, he was the best player in training every day. Yeah. And bearing in mind, we had some good players in that, so everyone knew it was in there. And then obviously when he got the confidence, that's when he just.
I think the beauty about Gaz as well is, I think it might have been the day or it was around the time he signed for Madrid. What was it, 89, 90 million? So I think we met with Wales, and we're having dinner or whatever, and he's gone. I don't know if he's gone or someone's gone. We'll go Nando's. That's because we were a group of lads, we all go Nando's. And Gaz is the most expensive player in the world. So we went to Nando's in Cardiff. and he's thinking nothing of it. Obviously, someone's jumped on Twitter or whatever. All of a sudden, there's 10,000 people outside Nando's in Cardiff, and Gaz is just in there thinking nothing of it. Do you know what I mean? Because he's just that down to earth.
How spicy was his chicken, out of interest?
Oh,
What does he go for? Is he lemon and herb?
I worry
he was probably sat the other end of the table with me because I was probably about 10 pints in, and he was on the water down the other end. So yeah, just what a guy.
What was Gaz like towards the later stages of his Welsh career when he's obviously a big figure in the dressing room? His football obviously done the talking, but people look at him and go, oh, is he vocal enough? You know, is he?
He was in the dressing. He really was. And you've probably seen players like it. He didn't have to say anything.
Yeah,
there was players.
So he had like that aura. Where
even me at my age, maybe was like in training. I want to half impress Gazzy.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to think, what's he doing? Do you know what I mean? He's the best player in the world, most expensive. So I can only imagine boys like you mentioned coming in from the Champ or something, training with the most expensive. They want to impress Gaz, and we had it a little bit with Giggsy as well. When I first got in, you think, I don't want Giggsy to think, you know, who's this geezer? What's he doing? So you sort of, he had that pull. He didn't have to do anything. He was Gareth Bale, and what he'd done on the pitch as well. Not just he was really good in the dressing room, vocal, and always said the right things, not shouting, and you know how some people are, and just what he'd done on the pitch, some of the stuff he was doing. We'd go to like Israel away and big game, and he'd score an absolute worldie, and you'd win. It was just all over in the dressing room and on the pitch. He just different level, different level.
Did you have a nickname for him?
No, I don't think we did.
Oh, that's smart.
I know, yeah, Baylor. But he had his ears done, didn't he? Eventually, so we couldn't call him anything to do with his ears. I think he had a pin back, didn't he? But I just the best player I've seen. The best player I've seen.
But obviously, so you grew up in Newport and you started at Cardiff, right? That's where it all began for you.
Yeah.
How was that getting in there? You were centre forward at the start, right?
I made my debut for Cardiff centre forward, and like going back to Newport, I see you've been there recently. Like some place to grow up. Do you know what I mean? Like pretty.
Well, Tony Pulis is the kind of the only person I know
TP's a
from
Newport
there.
boy, like a tough town. Do you know what I mean? Like hard enough growing up in Newport, but growing up in Newport with Ginger Barnett as well, you had to have a bit about you. So, and then playing for Cardiff, with a bit of a rivalry as well there.
Did you never play for Newport then?
No,
at all?
no, never played for Newport.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware quite sort of how big that rivalry was until I went to a couple of Newport games, which, by the way, is a phenomenal club. I would say I had one of the best days of my life, actually.
I remember you saying that. You loved it, didn't you?
I went to the Amber Bar nearby, and they're all stood on chairs and tables singing the House Martins' Caravan of Love, and I just thought
they've always Newport have always had a great following. Great
phenomenal.
Did you venture into Newport Town Centre after this?
Not. I've got to admit, probably not. No. Not too much.
Any good?
Used to be.
When we were down there doing our badges, we were advised by some of the Welsh contingent to be careful down there.
I'd say that's a fair synopsis of like it's
very.
Do you know what? Growing up there, I'd got to say probably the same as all our areas. What a place to grow up! Like a tough town, but just everyone looked out for each other. Like proper great fun. Like good people in Newport. Like probably gets a bit of a bad rap, but it's just. Great upbringing. Like,
what was your family into football? What was your story?
Not really. Like going back to Cardiff, I was playing rugby a lot. Like I'm sure the same as all of us. Everyone my sort of age, you played all sports. Did the high jump for Wales randomly when I was in school. Yeah, honestly, like
I used to do high jump.
Did you? Well, I can see why. Like you know why. But yeah, like just played all sports. Rugby was obviously a massive part. South Wales played football, rugby, athletics, did everything, and then left school. Very late into it. Like my dad was a rugby player, my brother was a rugby player, so didn't really know it. I think that was a blessing really back then. Sort of getting into the Newport schools, football, boys going Liverpool. You know what it was like when you was younger, Liverpool and all that. And I didn't fancy it. Didn't really want to move away. My family, not really knowing football, went right Cardiff are in the old Division 3. You can stay at home, go and play for Cardiff. Being novices, probably got more chance of playing first team football at Cardiff. So I did that, went and signed for Cardiff and signed the old YTS, $37.50 a week. And then I was in the first team at Cardiff at 16 and a half.
Ninian Park.
What a gaff.
Did you play at Ninian Park?
Ninian Park?
I did.
Do you remember the Camber, Sid?
I didn't.
Remember the Camber at Ninian?
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Oof.
I'm a little bit
What,
gutted.
as in away fans?
Tough,
Tough place.
Oh,
I remember I must have played against you there.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was hard. Samperman.
Where were you out there?
Reading days, yeah.
Sam
We were
Man.
sort of the teams then, though,
Yeah,
weren't we, when we
we
was
used
coming
to have
through?
some good battles. Reading v Cardiff.
Yeah.
Ginger Derby.
Yeah.
Ginger Derby, yeah. And then Sam Hammam was at Cardiff.
Sam.
What was
And
he
used to
like?
be floating
What,
around
City?
the.
Crouchy. Unreal. What a guy.
Did you love him?
Loved him.
Yeah.
But I was young. I used to come in the dressing room, the youth team dressing room, and like pay the boys like bullseyes, 50 quid to go and like smash the first team's cars up like that in the car park. So you go out there and like our main guy, would it been at the time, I don't know, Jason Bowen or someone, you'd have to rip his windscreen wipers and he'd give you like 50 quid. Wow. I actually had a race with Sam Man on Indian Park once. I was a youth team, like I said, 37.50. He'd come out. He always had readies on him.
Yeah,
Always.
mad, isn't it? It is. Like,
So
honestly,
he-
a bunch of ready. Like
Yeah, always. That's
swear.
always. And he went, right, I don't know, probably didn't even know my name at the time, race. He had like his loafers and a suit on, and I had my full kit on, doing the runs after the game, race to the halfway line. I beat him by about that much. Just for 50 quid. He wasn't quick, it's just I was so slow. And I had to like dip to beat Sam Man for 50 quid. he had loafers on.
I had to dip.
But like, he used to keep a sheep in his office. It's just mad, like old school crazy
I
guy.
heard that story.
Crazy
He
guy.
had a sheep in his office. Because obviously, I suppose the crazy game was probably...
Sorry.
No, genuinely, yeah, because he went to Wales, didn't he?
Like new signings and all stuff like that.
Yeah.
He used to make them eat sheep's testicles and that when they signed
That's
for
it.
Cardiff.
I read about that, yeah.
But like, brilliant. Like, every day was different.
So
Like,
you're a new signing, right? You come in, it's like to test you, he's going to make you eat a sheep's testicle.
it's almost like a bush tucker trial, I suppose, wasn't it? Like, see how strong you were. He did it, honestly. I remember, like, you'd walk in the back door in Indian Park, because we used to train there and change there and train over the road. And you'd go in there and it'd stink, because he's got a fucking sheep in his office. And I don't know, honestly, mental.
Wow.
And you speak to anyone from Wimbledon days, when you had Wimbledon, I think it was all that sort of stuff.
Same
all the
thing,
same
yeah.
stuff. Great time to be involved.
Brilliant.
Like, learned a lot. Do you know what I mean? I was 16, 17 around that. Wow.
And I think that, you maybe didn't get in the side for a while, and then you played every game, and then you kind of moved straight away to West Ham.
Yeah, I was in and out. I was playing like same as any youth player, I suppose. You'd in, then you wouldn't be on the bench, and then you was in, then you'd play centre forward, then I was centre back, and then I eventually got in under probably more under Bobby Gould and Alan Cork, Wimbledon connection again, and then Lenny Lawrence.
Right.
Lenny Lawrence came in and played me and Gab centre back, and I probably only for a season, I think. Probably only 60, 70 games for Cardiff and then West Ham. But I had a really good... It was the year West Ham came down, 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Defoe,
Danny...
Mickey Carrick.
Oh, yeah.
That team
that
were in
team
the
got
championship.
relegated.
And we were playing against them at Cardiff, and me and Gabs, I remember went to Upton Park, did really well there, and we beat them 4-1 at home. Did really well in that game. And then, West Ham came. But it's mad. West Ham were watching Gabs. They really fancied Gabs. Roger Cross, his name was the West Ham.
He was at Tottenham.
Was
he
he?
was Tottenham
Great guy, Rog.
reserve team manager.
So Roger's been sent down by Pars to watch Gabs, and rumour has it, legend has it, he went back after a couple of games and went, definitely sign Danny Gabardon, but take the Ginger boy next to him as well, because I'd done well in these games, and yeah, that's how I jumped on the back of Gabs' move to West Ham, basically.
Wow.
Yeah,
And that was Pards.
Pards,
Alan
yeah,
Pards,
2005, when they had just got up, Pards had got him up,
Yeah.
and then
I reckon it really was sign the ginger. I wonder how much being ginger actually has helped you. You don't hear of these success
hindered
stories,
in many
you know?
in many circumstances.
Imagine that if it really was. We'll get the ginger one as well.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
That's
Definitely
apparently
happened.
how
Yeah.
it goes.
You definitely
reckon it
stand
makes
out.
you stand out?
Well, I think so.
100%.
That's what I'm wondering.
I think it's the same with my height. Like, you never forget you, do you? Do you know what I mean? If you're playing in a team there, like, I don't know, there's only one ginger.
And
like,
I had a
you're-
lot of ginger hair at the time. It fell out rapid, didn't it?
You did, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a bouffant, a loaf of bread on the top of my head. It was naughty.
Because this is it. You only ever hear, really, of where people sometimes take the piss with it. And you've spoken about this before, but actually I quite like, anyone who's listening who is a fellow ginger, hearing some of these success stories, Where's it helped you pull? Where's it helped you?
But you was never ginger though, was you? No, you never got gingered off, did you? Did you diet? You wouldn't choose that colour, would you?
It's definitely got dark. You wouldn't, would you?
Everyone goes
People
to me,
go,
oh,
I'd love to have your colour out. I know you would.
Everyone goes to me, when you have your barnet done and all that. I went, yeah, I'll go and have it done, and I'll just have it jet black. Keep the ginger beer and come back from Turkey with like a jet black barnet.
Imagine that though, like people didn't know you. Why you call him Ginge?
Yeah,
Got fully black barnet.
Yeah, you was never ginger though, was you?
Well, I don't know. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
No, your red was different to mine.
Yeah.
No, so you boys go way back, right? So where do you know each other from originally?
No,
Before that?
No, yeah. So we played it against each other first of all when I was at Reading.
Yeah.
That's when you first came across each other.
Yeah.
And then when Ginge moved up to West Ham, and then obviously Bobby was at West Ham, and I used to go out a lot with the boys.
So you used to go out with the boys?
Yeah, you should see them all out on the circuit, and then Big Ginge signed for Villa. And then obviously we got closer then. Yeah. But yeah, no, so it was from early 20s for me, from the Cardiff days, and then when we just see him on a night out, all the West Ham lads. Because again, when you went to West Ham, it was a good school there.
Best dressing room I've ever been in.
West Ham?
Oh, that 2005.
Yeah, because that had been the FA Cup time.
Yeah, we played you. I was at Liverpool when obviously we played in the final.
So that dressing room.
Oh, yeah, of course. That dressing room, that sounds, we've all been in good dressing rooms. I've always... Every season I was at West Ham, we always had a good dressing room, always had good characters. But that one, 2005, when I first got there, unreal. Obviously, again, going back to what I said about Wales, the football was going really well. Finished 9th in the league that year, got to the cup final where you boys done us. But the social, worked hard, really training hard every day and all that. On and off the pitch was perfect. And Pards was brilliant as well. He sort of let it go and he sort of run the dressing room. Enjoyed our one on a Saturday, worked really hard, enjoy yourselves on a Saturday. That's what it was.
You seemed like you was all similar ages, so you was always out. Like none of you seemed like they had kids. Yeah. So
well,
no one had to be sensible.
I was 20 when I went to West Ham. Yeah. Maybe 21. Nigel Reo-Coker was our captain back then. He was, I think, he was the youngest captain, like 19. Yeah. Bobby was there, obviously. Nobes was coming through. Gabs was similar sort of age. But then we had Teddy. So we did have a really young team, but we had Teddy, Marky Mackay was still about. Great mix of young lads wanting to prove themselves in the Prem, do well, and Teddy and
how is that for a young lad though to come into kind of, sometimes you can get lost in the bright lights of London, right? And that's when you're with characters. You know, how hard was it to balance that?
I don't think I did. Certainly in the first year, to be honest. Gabs come in. Gabs was probably a bit different to me, as in like Gabs come in and he just took off. He won Hammer of the Year first year, Gabs, and I sort of the lights hit me a little bit. Right. Teddy was about the boys, and I probably, looking back, overstepped the line a little bit in my first year there. Didn't play enough, got injured a little bit, but it was mad. It would have been a lot different if Gabs won there. Imagine moving to London from Newport, where I'm from, on my own in the hotel, Waltham Abbey Marriott on my own. Yeah, would have been a bit of a disaster, I think. But Gabs there sort of made it a bit easier, and like I said, Gabs went on the pitch and did really well, and I probably enjoyed myself a little bit too much, to be honest.
So you were living in a hotel?
Yeah, I think every player. I think I was in there 6 months. Really? 6 months in the Waltham Abbey Marriott on the M25.
You mentioned Gabs there. Just quick, so I just want to say, you mentioned Gabs there, and like obviously he done really well with Wales and West Ham that he took off. But would you say like quietly you had a big part to play in that as well? Because obviously if he's playing a lot or with you, then he knows he's got the comfort. If you're not there, I mean, it just would it have been different if, like, I feel like you're a bit of his security blanket a little bit. I
think me and Gabs were perfect together. Like certainly at Cardiff, I used to love heading it, kicking it, getting an elbow, making a block, making a tackle. Gabs didn't enjoy that so much. I was quite slow, very slow. Gabs, I did what Gabs didn't like, and Gabs could do what I couldn't do. So I think together we worked really well. Gabs was quick, he's good on the ball, run out with it, read the game really well, and I just love defending. So I think together it just worked an absolute treat. It's just a shame when we got to West Ham, didn't play together that well. Anton Ferdinand was doing really well, and sort of I was getting injured, and they played quite a lot. But yeah, as a partnership.
I'm just trying to think where else that happens, where you sign two players rather than one.
Never. I say it all the time. I don't think it's ever happened. Yeah. It would have done. Two players coming, but as in two best mates, same agent, known each other since they were kids, move at the same time.
Yeah, and same position. Same position. If it's like different, like a striker and a right back. They've gone two centre backs. It's just like
that. Yeah, not the same position.
Yeah. It was like 3.6 mil. I think it might have been less than that back then.
Wow.
I played at West Ham then for 11 years. Gabs was there 6, Hammer of the Year. Hell of a deal.
Yeah.
I was about 200 grand. Gabs was 3.4. Jumped straight on the back of it.
But you had two spells at West Ham, right? So you go, the first spell was a little bit short and you go to Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Well, how does that come about?
Again, another mad time really at West Ham. It was when Eggert Magnussen had the club, and the banks and all that were in trouble.
Icelandic guy.
Yeah. And it was mad. I started the season, did really well at West Ham, and then obviously that happened, and I went to you boys. I went up to a bid. I didn't want to leave. I was loving it. I loved it. I still do. Loved it. Didn't really want to leave. And basically, Gianfranco Zola, or I don't know, I can't remember if it was Zola or someone higher, came in and said we need the £5 million. It got to that. I think it got to that point at West Ham at that time that it was really dark days.
Did you not really want to leave, or did you want to leave? Yeah, because I know you're from Wales, but I class you as a West Ham.
Well, I've actually been in London longer than I was in Wales now. I've been here that long, so I didn't want to leave. My wife was from Loughton, around that way, and loved it. Loved everything about West Ham. The feel I got at the club, like the real working class sort of feeling. I just couldn't see myself anywhere else. And basically, Stoke came in. Offered the money. I think it was $5 million. Accepted. Go up and speak to Stoke. So I went up and spoke.
Did you speak to Tony Pulis? Because I just assumed you knew him before you went. But that's the first time you met him, is it?
It's sort of, yeah. It's the same as all football. You sort of feel like you know people, but you don't. If that makes sense, because you play against them or see them, didn't you? So I'd never met him, and went up. And I remember driving up there with Cyril and not fancying it, even though looking back, I would have been perfect for Stoke. I played Ed in it and that sort of thing.
Tony Pulis would have loved you.
Yeah. Well, you look at the defenders you had at the time, Ryan and Ufi, very simple. I would have fitted in perfect with them boys. But just had it in my head that I didn't fancy it. Didn't really want to leave West Ham. So I went up and spoke to you know what he's like. I've gone up there without saying yes. He thinks I'm signing TP. So all the scans were booked and all stuff like that. And I sort of knew I didn't really fancy it. Nothing, like, I love Tony and still do, but just didn't fancy it, didn't want to leave. So I ended up saying no, came back down to West Ham, praying that something had happened and I wouldn't have to leave, basically. And then Villa came in, and that was, no disrespect to Stoke and that, Tony at the time, but it just seemed different. Like I didn't realise, I knew you were there, City, and just seemed a different
well, at that time,
thing.
Villa were going for a win there. They was going for top four.
Yeah.
So Randy Lerner come in, the American dude, put a lot of money in. We had some good signings. Because I remember when you come through the door, the training ground for the first day, and I was like, Ginge, and you was like, fucking, where can I go in the dressing room? Yeah. So I remember taking him in, telling him where obviously all the boys sat. You can have to choose this one. And then it was just like one, like there was a conveyor belt, wasn't there? One after another, like you come in, Danny come in.
Well, me and Danny came the same day, which helped. Similar to me and Gabs going to West Ham. I ended up having a great relationship with Big Danny, and we came the same day. We was in the lobby there of Bodymore, same day, signed the same time, and then bumped into Big Danny.
So was that exciting from your point of view?
Yeah,
seeing
because
these players coming
honestly,
in?
it was so exciting because we, like when I had signed for Villa, the whole thing was right. We're going for top four. They've been, what was it, 6 previous couple of seasons. It's going to be a real big push now. We're taking on overtaking Arsenal. You just see the next signings come through the door. Like literally, it was. You read the paper, it'd be like, "Fucking hell, we need him next," and then it'd be the next day he'll be in the training ground. It was just done so quick, and that was a good dressing room. Brilliant. It was a really good dressing room.
So who are the characters in this dressing room here?
Loads.
Gabby, Richard Dunn, Luke Young,
Ashley Young,
Ashley Young.
Yeah.
Gareth Bale would have still been there, would he?
GB was still there.
No, it was sort of the time I was going. You played with him, didn't you?
I had the last year with him. Because he was going to go to Liverpool.
That was it,
wasn't it? And then,
but like City, do you think you look back at Villa and you think you like the training that you wouldn't believe, would you? People wouldn't believe it.
It's a myth.
It
is
like
the biggest myth
how
in football under Martin O'Neill.
Yeah.
So Martin was a bit of a throwback. He was a clone of Brian Clough, right? And he'd openly say it, wouldn't he? He'd go, boys. He'd sit us down and go, boys, you will never have a manager like me again. He said, if you give me everything, I'll give you the world. Yeah. So, for instance, our training, and you can speak for this, we would go in, we'd warm up for 15 minutes, we'd have a couple of boxes, and then we'll do 5-a-sides. Like, that was it.
Every day.
Literally, and I'm saying every day. We never done possession.
No. Not even on a Friday?
Mate,
like you would walk through anything.
Young v old Friday,
mate,
that was it.
Never. We never done team shape, we never done set pieces, we never done possessions, we never done like patterns of play where you get the ball out wide, crossing and shooting. Never. It was warm up, 5-a-sides.
This is why I know we might have different stories, but I'd love Martin. He was perfect for me, as in not like City said, not a great deal of training, but if you'd done well for him, he'd look after you and he'd make you feel brilliant. The first me and Dunny signed on the Thursday, which probably would have been deadline day. Our first game's the Birmingham Derby on the Sunday.
That's messy, that one.
Massive.
Massive. It's a lively one.
That's big.
Big. Like, didn't know. So we sort of training, we didn't do a lot leading up to it. The Saturday night, we were in that Marriott up in Birmingham on the roundabout there. And Martin, it wasn't even a meeting, was it? We'd watch a game. Martin wouldn't really say anything. After the meeting, this is our first sort of real interaction with Martin. After the meeting, set plays, like we're thinking, what we do in set plays. So Big Dunny's gone, boss, Martin, Gaffer, what we do in set plays? We man marking or we zonal? Martin O'Neill went, I signed you two big fuckers to head the ball. So what we'll do is you two stand in the middle and head it. And I'm thinking, it couldn't be any more perfect for me. I think we conceded
this is the place for me.
This is me. This is me. I think we conceded like 3 goals from corners.
Really?
Just me and Dunny. So stand on the edge of the 6-yard box. So simple. Get the flight of the ball and head it away. And just head it.
So it's not rocket science.
To be fair, I don't think I've ever heard it broken down.
It's not rocket
unreal.
science. Yeah. Well, especially when you've got him and
you
they don't lose many headers.
Yeah, you've got to have boys who want to head it.
Yeah.
Like you look at the way Arsenal, the one that everyone's talking about, they start the back post. I'm not guaranteeing it, but you put me and Dunny on that 6-yard line and let them run at you, and we've got the desire to go and head that ball and take an elbow or whatever if they come in that way.
You're not conceding many there, are you?
No.
But the conversation always seems to be on TV about how you're marking, as opposed to just
how you're heading.
So
everyone's like, "Oh, how are you marking? Are you, how are you heading?"
People are too busy worrying about marking, grabbing them, or you stopping their run and all that. Just have the desire to go and head the ball.
Yeah, that is so true. It's a simple game, isn't it?
It's kind of disturbing when it gets as simple as that.
Yeah,
I think we're so.
Well, that's why I go back to Martin, because he made it so simple for me. Yeah. And I mentioned
for everyone,
for everyone, really, yeah.
Like you're a winger, you just get get half a yard, get get a ball in the box. Strikers, one get past the front post, one get right in the middle. It was just as simple as that. But then when it got a bit down the line, and you needed a bit more, like there was the famous saying, wasn't there? Like he used to basically come in and he used to bring the whole team, home or away, the whole squad, travelling. Right, so obviously you'd take like 29 players, only at the time 18, or not even that, maybe 16 could be on the bench, in a suit, and at 1:30 you'd have you all in the dressing room, and you'd walk in, and we didn't need to team shape the week on the Friday, and you'd walk on the Saturday, and then just get a bit of paper, and it would go, same team, same subs. Right, and he'd walk out.
Well, you need the paper for that,
mate. And exactly, you're thinking, you're thinking there's a few changes here. I might be in with the chance.
Yeah, because the paper's up.
Same team, same
subs.
Right, and then walk out.
It was written on there.
Did we not almost buy a horse once and call it same team, same subs?
We was going to buy a racehorse and call it same team, same subs.
Wow.
But like you can imagine, for someone like me, the way I played the game, it was perfect. So simple. You ain't good enough to play. You do your block. You do your headers. You do your defending. Give it to the better players.
Mind you, Harry Redknapp was very
music.
He did the same with we've talked about it with Wilson Palacios. He just simplified. He made his game so easy for him. Go win it back and give it to Modric.
Yeah,
that's all you have to do. Go win it and give it to Modric. Job done.
Yeah,
it's brilliant at it.
It's unreal, isn't it? But it didn't work for. You could see why it didn't work for certain players, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, and
a few crave more. But the biggest thing was when it got to February, March, and it needed a bit of changing, and he was still doing the same team. The legs just went a little bit, and instead of freshening up and just for a game here and there, he wanted to just keep that momentum going, and we dipped.
Remember Carlos Cuella?
Yeah.
Carlos, this Martin. Carlos. I don't know what game it was. Half time, Carlos had given a goal away. Carlos, what were you thinking, son? Carlos went, well, I was thinking this. That's your fucking problem. Stop thinking, son. Stop thinking. Do you know, it's like...
Wow. He had some brilliant lines, didn't he?
Any other great quotes?
I've got a belter. Yeah. I think I'll tell you one. So we played, it was a European game, and we was going really strong in the league, and then he rested a few for Europe. So I don't think you played. So you literally rested half the team. So like Millie, Ginge, Youngie, Gabby, even Big Danny might have even all been rested, Stewie Downing. So we've gone there, we've played, and then we've lost. And then we've got back in the dressing room, and it's all gone quiet. And he walks in, and he has he says some stuff like, listen, got some big couple of months ahead now. And he all goes quiet, and the boys are banging their boots down. He goes, we've got some good players at this football club. You lot should think about joining them. and walked out. But literally, no, it was ice cold. And like, it's like, wow. But he couldn't even come back from it.
He could make you feel that, like, we played that game, my first game, Birmingham, we won 1-0, Gabby scored, and he came in and he made me and Danny feel, new signings, felt like we were the best defenders in the world. But then, as soon as you didn't play or you didn't, he would cut you down like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe. And the day, like the training, the days off, like say we'd win a game on a Saturday, and he was notorious for his, if it was going well, the days off. So we'd be in there and he'd go, brilliant boys, brilliant, well done. I'll see you on Tuesday. And you'd go to Gabby and Ashley Young were his boys. So you'd go, Gabby, get on him, get another day off. Gabby would go, I'll see you Thursday. And you'd go, yes, okay, Gabby, we'll see you Thursday.
Brilliant.
And we're playing on the Saturday.
And we'd
as
play
well.
Saturday. Wow. And then the boys, in a weird sort of way, the boys made sure they was on it on a Saturday because you knew you'd get a couple of days off again if you won the game.
But if it dipped, it weren't good.
If it did, no.
If
He'd have
it
it at
was
6
like,
o'clock.
He'd have us in on a Sunday once, and we watched the whole game in silence.
6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so, when it goes wrong.
That's why he said if you like, you won't get no one like me. If it's
In
good,
real
it's good.
time.
In real time, in silence. No, like lads that, look, blah, 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 we just watch the game in silence.
I can't get over how awkward that must be.
It's really awkward.
Wow.
Big Sam used to do the same bit. You say if it went bad, he'd get you. Went West Ham, he'd get you in, watch the whole game.
Just before we go on to West Ham, back to West Ham. Do you remember our first night out in Birmingham?
Jesus Christ, they've all rolled into one them nights.
He's gone to me sick because
as in I do.
Yeah.
Have he's gone for dinner? They said you this one. I was a belter. Go on, I'll let you tell us.
So, are you up? You're up and settled now, aren't you? You'd moved up.
Yeah, I'd just bought the house, and you was at the road, weren't you?
Yeah.
Where you live in here now?
Solihull, on the right road.
Yeah,
Solihull,
well, I lived in Knoll.
Yeah.
Village near Solihull.
Yeah.
So I was on my own. So he's gone, Sid, like, what are you doing tonight? I said, I'm on my own. He goes, fancy coming around for dinner? We'll go for a bite to eat. So I was like, yeah, do you know what? I'm not doing nothing. So go on, like I got there. We went to, was a little pub, wasn't it?
I can't
remember.
Local? Yeah, little local pub or whatever. And come on, Sid, we're out. But I was with Georgie Cooper.
Yeah.
So Georgie Cooper was best mate of mine, the old physio at West Ham. He's still my best mate. Matty was there as well, wasn't he?
Matty was
there, at Stoke, but he was living in Birmingham. So I think it was me, Sid, Matty and George.
Yes.
So we're in this pub. We know we're not having dinner. We're on the pints. So Sid thinks he's going out for a nice dinner and all that.
So you've enticed him for dinner.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Anyway, before we know it, there's no food.
Wow.
We're about 8 Guinnesses in or whatever. And I remember looking over the table, seeing Siddy with a pint of Guinness in his hand, just looking at the Guinness like, done. Absolutely done. Thought he was having a nice dinner and all that. I think I had to put you in the car, didn't I? Put you in the cab, get him
I
home.
was like, that's me done.
Really?
Yeah. The ones we were home, because if you, because the missus was
but
down.
did you get
you had a
ginged?
bit of time.
Did
So
you get
I got
ginged?
ginged, yeah. The ones were like, and I was like, dude, I haven't got dinner. And all of a sudden, like, he's messaged me, he's called me, fancy dinner? I was like, oh, what a touch. I've gone, yeah, brilliant, let's go out for a bite to eat. Next thing, like 8 pints. It was actually more.
It probably was
more.
Figures. Yeah.
But the last couple, I was like,
You can't do it.
I remember just staring at that last pint. But like,
Training the next day or?
we would have had train the next day, I think. So.
Wasn't there a game you boys were telling me about?
Oh, the big story with Ginge,
the infamous Lincoln
What?
City.
I don't know. I think you might have.
I still blame Nigel Reo-Coker for that day.
Bang
still
on.
to this day. Still blame him. So basically, it still talks about a villain house. Most of the old masseur still mentions this. Luke Young still mentions it. He still has shivers, Youngie, bless him. So anyway, this day, it's a Monday. I think it was deadline day.
I like it.
Big Dunny's told me recently that it was deadline day. So anyway, I've gone out on a Sunday night thinking Monday it's going to be chilled. We're going to be in the gym or whatever, something like that. So we've got in. John Robinson's come in. Martin's number 2, and gone. There's a game on. I've been out, and I mean I'm not hungover. I'm still very well oiled.
Yeah.
So there's a game on. Either you all play or none of you play. One of them. So everyone's like, Ginge can't play a game. Jesus Christ! Like everyone's going. Nah, everyone's trying to get the game off. Nigel, who I've been at West Ham with, who's my mate, I need a game. Oh, you've killed me. You've absolutely killed me. So Nigel really wants captain, wants a game. Lincoln are in town. I've gotten in a bit of a jolly mood, as you know what I mean. Like,
but you get the giggles.
Bit fancy. we're playing this game. And I'm like, oh my, I remember Big Dunny had me in the ice bath before the game, dunking me in and out, trying to like get me round a little bit. All of a sudden, this kick off, innit? You played the game, didn't you?
Yeah. No. Before kick-off, it was, right, listen, lads, let's just keep the ball away from Ginge.
Really?
Like, honestly, it was that
bad.
bad. Like, listen, just keep it away from him.
Like, it sounds bad, but it was going to be a down day, wasn't it? It was like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's Nigel's fault completely.
Yeah, exactly. Still blaming him.
But it was an early kick-off. It was like a half 11 kick-off. It must have been in January, and then the sun was low as well.
But it was icy, wasn't it? It was icy. So anyway, Big Dunny's had me in the ice bath. Like, all of a sudden, I'm in my kit. It's kicking off. So I think it was about, I remember Siddy's done his little thing, don't give it to Ginge, body bar. I remember you like trying to wiggle out. You've literally got a pass back to me like 5 yards, and he's got like three. He's got three round him trying to wiggle out just so he ain't got to give me the ball. This is like 2 minutes in. 10 minutes in, they've got a goal kick, and it's like Siddy says, it's the low sun. So I'm blocking the sun. The keeper's kicked it, and I haven't even seen it. It's just hit me straight in the face. It gets better. It gets better than that. About square. Because I'm covering the sun, I can't see the ball. Before I know it, it's like whack.
Like,
straight in the
I can replay the noise. Like, it's not one of them heady noise. Like, oof,
no,
like
it's hit me straight on the beak. Straight on the beak. And like my eyes are watering. It's not going well. 5 minutes after that, these Lincoln boys must be thinking, what's going on here? He's playing in, like, we were like 5th in the league at the time. He must be thinking, who's this geezer? He's like on trial or something. 5 minutes after the balls hit me in the face, I remember going up to like the winger, sort of right hand side on the halfway line. Crouchy, I've jockeyed him from the halfway line to my own 6-yard box, and he's just rolled it in the net. I haven't attempted to make a tackle. I've jockeyed him from the halfway line to my own 6-yard box, and he stopped and just gone, really? And just rolled it in the net. At that point, honestly,
you come off at half time, didn't you?
It wasn't even half time, Sid.
Was it?
No, it wasn't even half time.
So wow.
Kev Mack dragged me about. I must have lasted about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kev Mack's dragged me and gone. Just like didn't even say nothing. In you go. But then I played the following Saturday in the Prem and was
probably MOM.
Good as gold.
Really?
Yeah, good as gold. It's just because it was one of them Mondays where it was a Sunday and we thought it was a down day.
And we didn't know there. We didn't know there was a game.
Didn't know the day before it was a game. It was literally in the training ground.
Yeah.
This game's on. But I remember like Youngie and Dunny didn't play the game.
Did he watch?
They watched it in the and Youngie said he had to watch it like through his hands, like nervous for him. But
But just blame Rio Coca.
Well, it was
for absolutely anything, you know. It seems like the go-to excuse for anyone. If you have a big one on a Sunday, go tell your teacher whatever you need to do.
Blame Nigel.
So good though, so good. So then, obviously, you have the chance to go back to West Ham. Talk us through that.
Off the back of that story, back to West Ham.
But listen, you got man of the match week after, so that's put to bed now.
No, it's one of them. Still, like I said, it's still talked about. Yeah, but. Back at West Ham after Martin left Villa, sort of for me definitely went downhill a bit. It did it wasn't great.
Who took over? Who took over after
Kev Mack and then Gerard
Houllier came in. Not great, really. Didn't work. Basically, I don't think I was his sort of player and that. Do you know what I mean? So it didn't really work. And then found myself literally got a phone call off Nobes. Nobes was a big part of it, getting back. He phoned me up, and you know what Nobes is like. Thought it was a wind-up. It's not often someone like me loves West Ham, loves the club, leaves. You never think you're going back, do you? You think it's done. And I thought Nobes was on a wind-up. To get a phone call to go back, I genuinely thought he was on a wind-up. And looking at it now, I think I went back. I learned loads off Dunny. I think I went back to West Ham that second time, better player. From playing with Dunny. What an underrated player, Dunny.
What did he say to you?
He was unbelievable, wasn't he?
Yeah. So when Nose was sort of offering you to come back, what was he saying to you?
Just Sam fancies you. Sam had just got us back up. Big Sam fancies bringing you back to West Ham. Do you fancy it? I was like, Jesus, I'll jog down there. Do you know what I mean? Because it wasn't going great at Villa. But just amazing. I think I was away with Villa in Chicago when I got the initial phone call on pre-season for that season, and got the call and come back, picked a pair of boots up and went.
There is something about West Ham and their fan base as well. It's like they love the flair players and they love the players, the no nonsense players, right? Like yourself, kind of Julian Dix, that kind of. Have you got? I mean, you've got an amazing relationship with the fans.
Bizarre. Like I find it bizarre. Like really lucky, and it's just down to the way I played. Like you say, they like their flair players and people who played, but I say it all the time. Like by no stretch of the imagination was I anywhere near the best player to play for West Ham. But whether I was playing good, bad, I'd run around, I'd tackle, I'd head people, I'd kick people.
But you played a
And
game,
that
I
was-
think, like how a fan would come down and
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Like they'd give everything for everything for
Because,
the shirt.
like I said, because I think deep down I knew I wasn't technically as good as everyone else. Like certain games, you're thinking. Like I remember playing against some players, thinking, "Geez, like lucky to be playing against them." So I knew I had to work hard. I had to defend. I was all right defending. I had to make my tackles. I had to block. I had to. Probably down to the way I was brought up as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like really gritty, playing a lot of rugby. Probably like to think I'm quite tough. That was the way I played.
But you say that you know doing yourself a disservice there because I played against you. You're a top defender and you were better on the ball than you're giving yourself credit for. But who were the players like? Obviously, you could probably deal with this types of strong centre forwards, but with players like Defoe or a Harry Kane or an Aguero, or how are you dealing with those players and who's the most difficult?
Definitely I'd better games against the bigger lads. It was a battle. Do you know what I mean?
Where it was a battle.
Like battle, win your headers. Like remember playing against like people like Duncan Ferguson. Just loved every minute of it.
Really?
A proper battle.
You
yeah.
loved it.
Loved it.
That's class.
That's not normal.
Loved
That.
No, that's what I mean. So there's not many.
Honestly.
There's not many centre halves that would say
I'm
that.
not
is it?
normal. I used to randomly love getting a cut.
Really?
Do you know if I'd gone up and I was like, yeah.
Yes,
Do you know,
no, I'm buzzing with that.
So I think it was Grant Holt done me once. I ended up having like 12 stitches. This was Villa. Just thinking, yeah, like that. But like that sort of battle, I loved it. Like a big challenge or a block or taking one in the bollocks, blocking one. And that was my game. I loved every
You
minute.
say that, but you played your best game probably against Suarez.
Yeah, Anfield. I think it was 2013. Just...
Was that? Does that just stand out? Your best game.
I think I don't know if anyone really remembers their best game, but that game stands out. Why it stands out, I think, is Suarez was Suarez at the time, like unplayable at points. Do you know what I mean? And I remember he was little, didn't really fancy playing against a little player, and not fancy it, but was better against the big uns. And I remember being on the Anfield pitch, looking up and seeing a sign saying Luis Suárez could nutmeg a mermaid. I'm thinking,
My God.
yeah, I swear. And there's a sign, and I'm thinking, this is going to be tough because he used to love a nutmeg. Didn't
He's
he?
brilliant at it.
So when I was like
No,
from
no, I've
nowhere,
never heard that.
Yeah, I
Nutmeg
swear.
mermaid, that's brilliant.
It was like a fan banner at Anfield. I'm thinking, now this is going to be tough. So right then on that pitch, I just decided I'm just going to steam into him. Every time he gets the ball, I'm going to steam into him, kick him, bring him down, whatever. So he makes him as uncomfortable as possible, rather than him dictating to me. So I literally kicked shit out of Suarez for 90 minutes. Didn't get sent off, didn't even get a yellow. But there's like pictures about of him wincing with me, like steaming in and that. And it's the best game I ever played.
Really?
And my tactic was to kick him every time he had the ball. Maybe not, you know what I mean? Not hurt him, but like be really aggressive against him. Because otherwise you let him play, he's far superior to me. He's going to take the piss out
Did he
of me.
react at all?
No, I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did. But then you've got other players who you try and kick like a Drogba or something like that. It just makes them better. So you know you can't. You know you couldn't do that against those
Was
sort
he?
of
I
players.
mean, would he be difficult to play? Like,
Drogba was
how
the best.
strong was he? Really, the
Drogba
best.
was the best. I think best centre forward I played against.
Really, and you played against me as well.
Should we do the top 50? Should we do the top 50? Coming in at 50, actually. I always used to like playing against you. I used to like playing against you. We used to have a bit of crack, didn't we?
Yeah,
we used to have a little
yeah.
chat when we was
Tell
playing.
Crouchy he was the best.
He was the
No,
best.
no.
It'd go Drogba,
Listen,
Crouchy.
Drogba,
I think.
Crouch,
Yeah,
that's all right.
It's close.
What made him so good?
Just, I think if you ask any centre half from my sort of era, I think they'd all say Drogba. Yeah, because he just had everything. He was quick, he's strong. He'd come back, he'd mark you from corners, he was good in the air, he'd score from outside the box, he'd score a tap in, he'd run the channels, he'd come short. And he was playing one up front back then. Mourinho, probably you was there, was you?
Yeah.
He was the first probably to do it and do it really well because he could do everything. He'd stand there and someone would zing it into his chest. You couldn't get round him to nick it off him. He was so strong. Then he's going 400 mile an hour into the corner. He was just, not many players you played against and thought, thought about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. Play against Drogba, it was like, this is going to be a battle.
Especially more so for a centre half, because when they get a corner, it's they're now going up thinking, got a chance of scoring here, and I'm getting away from him.
Yeah.
But then he's following him.
Yeah.
And then marking
Marking
him.
me.
So he's like relentless to them as much as Ginger's trying to be to him.
Yeah,
So
He's just, if he was on it, when you play against these really good centre forwards, you've got half got to hope they're having an off day, like you did most of the time. Do you know what I mean? Having an off day. You've got to hope they're having an off day, and you play really well. He was the sort of player, he had to have an off day, and you had to be top of your game to get anywhere near him. He was, and talking about then, it seemed like when I was going, every team had like a world-class centre forward. Do you know what I mean? As in like the household name centre forward. You don't see it that much anymore. As in like in the Prem. Do you know what I mean? The centre forward. No disrespect to anyone, but back then every team, like Rooney was about Rooney. See how I put you in there?
No, I like that.
Henry.
But also, you'd
all
have
of them.
two quite often as well. Like I think certainly, like back in those days, you'd have
I remember
two centre forwards. Rather now, there's kind of a centre forward that drops, and you've got to worry about the wingers coming in. Really, it's not a battle anymore.
It's not one on like that proper physical battle, and the physicality is not in it anymore. But I remember talking about two playing at Upton Park, Newcastle, Shearer and Owen up front as a pair. I think Alan Shearer was man of the match that day. He was unreal. Michael Owen scored that trick.
Oh wow,
that's what you were sort of. Do you know what I mean? As in, like, I think it's probably one of the only times I played against Al. Unreal, unbelievable. Like, I hadn't played against him, didn't know what to expect. Like I said, he was man of the match by a country mile, but Mo scored the hat trick. Unreal.
My Premier League debut was against Newcastle, Aston Villa at Villa Park, and Alan Shearer was up the other end. And I've said to you before, like I remember looking at up the other end and going, "Oh my God, I'm miles off it." I was looking at him.
I used to think that every game, though.
Is that what a centre forward has to do?
Honestly.
I was like, oh my God, I am so far off this. So I had to work very hard.
But like I said, around that time, certainly when I come to West Ham, every team, Henry was about, every team had a unreal centre forward.
All right, so you're at West Ham now. You talk about the camaraderie and stuff, and you know, I think we might have seen you in a few of the. I think a mid-season break, I might have been at Portsmouth and seen you out and about in Dubai with West Ham.
Yeah, the infamous.
How much fun did you have at West Ham?
Just brilliant. Again, another great dressing room. It all comes, and a good manager, Sam. I love Sam. Like spoke about Martin, how he was perfect for me. Sam was perfect for me as well. No nonsense. Do your defending, but just brilliant. Honestly, Kev Nolan was there. Andy Carroll, Nobes, just really good characters, and Sam. It felt really lucky to be back there and be in that squad. And again, the football was going well. Football went well that first year, and we just. Again, another squad where we worked hard and played hard, I suppose. You know, we'd win on a Saturday or Sunday or whenever we were playing, and we'd be out. It wouldn't be like you've probably seen it. They'd be, we're going out tonight, lads. There'd be 4 of you turn up. It would be pretty much everyone. So it was just brilliant. And like I said, we never crossed the line too much where went out when we shouldn't. We only went out when we knew we could. When we'd won a game or Sam was happy with us and it was going well, and we'd be out and about. But it was a great time. Always good dressing rooms.
Who was the best? Payet must have been up there. Dimitri Payet.
Yeah, as in for West Ham. Yeah, but best player I've seen in West Ham, Dimitri Payet.
Really?
Yeah.
He was a joke, wasn't he?
The
free kicks and stuff that he was taking.
I think it was one particular year where he was unplayable, wasn't it?
It's probably like, what year was it? Our last year at Upton Park, I think it was. We scored that ridiculous one against Palace. Similar to Gaz Bale for Wales in a way, where as a group of players, we knew if we weren't at it, like performing well, keep a clean sheet, Dimmy will do something stupid. Yeah. He'll score a free kick, or honestly, it was that bad. He'd do a ridiculous assist, keep it tight, 0-0. Dimmy will do something. He's the best player I've seen at West Ham.
And he fit into the dynamic and everything. Because I guess for you, it must have been so comfortable knowing why you were being brought back in, and it was clearly your professionalism, but your personality as well.
Yeah.
How did he fit into that whole setup?
Dimitri?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on board, definitely. It was a must in that West Ham dressing room. Kev Nolan was brilliant. Kev Nolan had a great relationship with Sam and pretty much ran the dressing room. Nobes was good. I was quite a voice, as in Winston Reid was in there, big Andy Carroll, real good, strong characters. The dressing room looked after itself, and Dimmy came in and did great. You know, a player comes in and he's that good and he's doing that well for you. You sort of give him a bit of leeway and whatever. But it was brilliant. There's no doubt about it as well. It did turn a little bit not nasty, but a bit sour with him at the end, because we thought we had done really well for him, and he was enjoying it and doing really well. And then I think it was 2016 with Wales. France obviously went on, and he was in that squad, and he came back and he's just a different lad. Don't know if he had his head turned or something, and came back, and it was so disappointing. Because the club had done well. They paid him a lot of dough and that. And
that's what I mean. What do you think it was? He just maybe during that tournament had conversations at that
point? Possibly. Don't really know. You know, you hear stuff, but I know Nobes thinks it. Like, we were sat there thinking he's asked to leave. Felt terrible for Slavan at the time. Slavan Bilic was our manager. Your best player coming in, saying he doesn't want to play in our dressing room as well. So the boys were done with him. Do you know what I mean? He ended up having to train with the kids. I don't know. Honestly, me and Nob speaking, I remember saying, right, he wants to leave. It might sound a bit strong, but we're thinking he's going Madrid or something. Yeah, he's coming in saying he don't want to play. He's doing that well. Yeah. And then he went back to Marseille. So you don't know. Yeah. But it was such a shame, because if he had stayed on, the fans loved him that much. When you got a player like that, the Mavericks at West Ham, he would have been an absolute... He would have been a Paolo.
Yeah, but in those situations, it's fascinating that. So in those situations, and when that happens with you boys as well, where... do you sort of take it a bit personally, or are you able to separate and just go, it's clearly something that's his thing?
I don't really know. Like, it's not. I'm not speaking on behalf of the boys, but it's not sort of a thing I'd ever do, and I can't imagine you boys ever refusing to play to do whatever. Just, I don't know, different, isn't it? Yeah. But as soon as that happens in any dressing room, someone downs tools or asks to leave, they've got to go. They've got to go. They've got to get out.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, do you think that's something that you see from the outside now, looking at some of the teams, maybe the stuff that we hear out of there? Do you think that's lost a little bit, that feeling that people are allowed to play on a bit longer than perhaps they should in those situations?
This is me going on a bit of a rant. I feel now there's not the love of a club anymore. That I don't know if I certainly had at West Ham, that real love to play for a club. I think when things are going well, people are looking elsewhere. And I think, looking back now, I think Dimmy used West Ham as a bit of a stepping stone. He thought, well, I'll come into West Ham. Did he love it as much as the rest of the boys, or did he want to come in, do well and shift on? And I think we're seeing that. We see that quite a lot. I don't think boys, certainly in our era, play for the love of... And I don't mean that in a bad... Like, the loyalty and the real love of... Like, I loved West Ham. I loved everything about it. I was mates with the kit man, the Shirley who did the teas, everyone loved it all. And when we almost got relegated in 2007, us as a team felt like the real love of the club, togetherness of a club.
You feel it for the whole community, don't you? Rather than
fans, everyone, the people who might be losing their jobs if you was to get. I don't think there's that real passion for a player and a club anymore. There is in certain instances, and that's why it's so easy for people to leave.
It's a great thing to see as a fan, and also I think it is an important thing, and it is what you kind of want to hear as a fan that you have with players that are playing for your team.
Well, that's why West Ham fans
some of them,
Yeah. You said there about your affiliation with the club and West Ham. When the move happened to the new stadium, bearing in mind that you've had such a good time at Upton Park, and Upton Park under the lights for me is one of the best nights you can play. How hard was that transition?
It was really hard. It sounds a bit of an excuse, but it was really hard.
That's because
you can only... Footballers are creatures of habit, innit they? I think. As in, like, when you was at Upton Park, you knew that people on the security, I had a box at Upton Park for like 10 people, you'd get 13 in there because you knew everyone. Do you know what I mean? It was that sort of... You knew the people around the place, and you got on with everyone. Then you moved to this new place, and it was completely different. You had your place where you sat. Now this is all new and big, and
it's a big change,
massive change.
Yeah,
and
like, it take the lads a lot to get used to.
Yeah, and do you know what? It was sort of like we were the away team. Do you know, you're going in there, and it was, and then on the back of that, I think the away teams come and they were like, "This is lovely." Yeah. So they'd up their game as well, and then we were struggling on the pitch a little bit, and it was just all. It just all wasn't great. I think if you look back at that time, the football on the pitch first season at the stadium was dreadful. We struggled really bad for all sorts of reasons. We changed training ground at the same time as well.
fans didn't look like they enjoyed it
No,
either.
but I
Like,
think if the football, that's what I was going to get to. If the football was better on the pitch that year, it would have made it easier for the fans as well. And that's why there was so much talk about
from the
it.
start, though, had they? I mean, I remember going there with Watford, and we. It was like they hadn't worked out the seating properly, and where the away fans were was almost It was actually a bit better than it should have been, I think, for where we were at that particular point. I mean, it's all settled down, and
We sort of felt that.
Took time.
Like I said, creatures of habit. You want to feel comfortable before a game, like where you. And it was all. I remember me and Knowles went there. We played. I think the first game there was Juventus in a friendly. Me and Knowles went there. They wouldn't let us in the ground. Because, like, do you know what I mean?
Start,
no, like, no, as in the security. Do you know what I mean? Because you got there and it's all new, and the parking was all weird, and we'd gone to the front, and they're like,
no wonder people are getting wound up, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, that must happen to you've been going West Ham their whole lives, you know, like people of generations of West Ham fans have been told, hold on a minute.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, we've got a game for your clock, we need to come in. Don't get me wrong, it's obviously got a lot better. It's much better now. The big games, the European nights make a home, which is how it's going. But those early days, it was tough. It was tough for everyone. There's no doubt about it. Really, really tough.
when did you know you had to call time on it? You went to Ipswich after, didn't you? You had a few games at Ipswich. And when did you know it was time to call it a day? And did you ever say bye properly at West Ham?
No, like my time at West Ham, I look back at it now, it came to an end. It's the only sort of thing that I think about really is the way I left West Ham. Fair enough, like they didn't want me or whatever, but there's just the whole circumstances around it, being there 11 years. I probably should have retired after that, I think. I think I was pretty much done. I was convinced, I was not convinced, I thought I was going to get another year. Not to play every week, but
yeah,
I was pretty good in the dressing room. Do you know what I mean? I'd play when I needed to play. If you needed me, I'd play, but I'd be good around, and it never came through. So I probably should have retired then, and then went to Ipswich and just couldn't basically get through a training. Played a few games, trained one day, calf had hurt, and then got a little bit embarrassing. So I thought, nah, that's me done. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to. And Ipswich were great with me as well. Like, I had a really good time there, but just I didn't fancy it. I actually went back up to Villa after I left West Ham. I don't know if this is out there, but I went up to Villa with Steve Bruce, and done well. And literally, I was doing really well there. And Brucey, because Sam knew, and I spoke to Sam, and they said, "Yeah, I'll take Ginge. They're in the Championship. We do a job for you." So I was going to sign. Brucey gets the sack. So I was like, "Oh, what's happening here? You're only going up there to train." Dean Smith gets a job. JT goes in with him. So I think I spoke to JT. He went, carry on coming up, and we'll have a look at you. So anyway, I felt good. Went up, trained, doing a bit of training. They offered me a contract. Dean Smith and that they offered me a contract. It wasn't like I think it was going to be like a 2-3 month contract, something like that. And this is how mad it is as a footballer. I had to sign it on the Thursday to be on the bench for the Saturday or something like that. So I signed it Thursday about 10:20. So I'm signing it, doing all the stuff like that. So by the time I've signed the contract and got out for training, the boys have started their warm-ups and they're on the sprints. So I thought, me being old, I'll just go straight into the sprints. Did a sprint and popped my calf.
No.
And I've just signed this contract for Villa. So I went over to Dean Smith and JT and went, boys, I've just popped my calf. And because I'd done my calf so much, I knew it was quite bad. I went, I'll run in quick and rip the contract up. Because I knew I would only sign for 3-4 months. And I loved my time at Villa, and they were really good to me. I thought, I can't sign a 4-month contract or whatever and be injured for 2 months.
But you'd signed it.
I signed it.
Technically, it's signed.
I was technically a Villa player. So I went to Dean Smith, look, I can't do that to you because I could be out for 2 months. I ran back in to Sharon, the secretary, and went, have you sent that contract off yet? She went, no. I went, we're going to have to rip it up. I've just pulled my calf.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if
Fair
that...
play to you, mate.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
You know, because quite a lot of people would have just sat there for 4 months.
Yeah, now, do you know what?
Been injured.
Like I said, I could have sat there, and I knew my calves. It could have been a 2-month or 3-month. The contract wasn't great. So I went in and said, yeah, well, let's rip it up. I can't do that to you. To do it to the club. And so, yeah, and then went back, got fit from that, and ended up at Ipswich, yeah.
Most impressive thing about that is knowing your calves. I don't know what the fuck mine are doing.
Have you got any? No, I pulled them that much that I knew. Yeah, I just couldn't do it to the club because they were great to me. I'd loved my time there the first time.
That's good.
So I ripped it up, and fair play to the club. A couple of weeks after, I can't remember who the chief exec whatever. I got a nice phone call and a few bits off him, so it was nice.
Yeah,
ended up at Ipswich.
Yeah, but no other player I think has ever signed for a club and and left on the same day.
I know, unreal.
Yeah.
Joey Beecham. There's a name for you.
I think
Ham.
it was the first
Joey
sprint. Signed the contract. Literally 5 minutes later, pushed off for the first sprint. Bang, calf gone.
God.
Mad.
Chris, I don't know if you know this. Obviously, you're a big fan of the barbecue and the meat and stuff.
Yes,
What would you say if Ginge said that he played or trained with a bit of steak in his boot?
Played.
What do you mean?
I can tell by your face. You're like, what
Well,
are you on about?
I love.
Are you a meat fan?
Well, yeah. I'd say the barbecuing side of it is a big hobby.
He's a barbecue
But it sounds
enthusiast.
like you're into the meat.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to believe it, but it 100% happened. So I was at Villa and I basically broke my foot, the top of my foot here. But I was one of them players that I'm sure, I know City the same. You want to play on it, that's fine. So on the Friday before this particular game, forget who we're playing, I got the broken foot. Our doctor at the time said, right, you're going to think I'm mad, but we're going to sort of get some cling film and put a stake on top of your foot to take the pressure or whatever away from the broken bone in the top of your foot. So I played a Premier League game with like
Premier League game
with
with a steak.
with
How
like a
big's
10,
steak?
10
though? Is it
ounce
like
sirloin
fillet?
on the
A
top.
sirloin.
It couldn't be a fillet. I wouldn't get my boot on.
Do you have to get bigger boots or like?
No, I remember I couldn't do it. And do you know what? I didn't. Honestly, a game with probably about that big lump of steak, cling film to the top of my foot. It did fuck all.
Was it killing?
It was fucking killing me.
Who is
It
this
did
doctor?
nothing.
So when you kick a ball, the idea
It's
was
sort of like
it would
the idea
absorb,
of like
it was
raw
like having
meat would be like absorbed.
extra
And I
big
imagine
foot.
it's cold. It's cold
Yeah.
and
But it was like almost
Like-
cooked
almost
by
like
half time because I was sweating.
He had
And
a
then-
medium rare after.
Honestly, that actually happened in the Premier League. I played
Wow.
with a steak on the top of my
I
foot.
reckon you might be the only player to ever play in the Premier League.
Do you
with
know
a
what?
steak
The thing about it, it did fuck all. Half time, I went, fuck that. Just give me a local in it. So then I played the second half. I couldn't feel my foot at all.
Yeah. To be fair, I played with one of those.
But for one half of football, you
Generally played with a steak on my foot. Yeah.
meat feet.
Yeah.
How did you
yeah.
play?
No one
How did you
horrendous.
play?
Just kept kicking it in
Horrendous.
the stand, same as usual. So I
They
got away
can't
with
score
it.
from there, mate. Don't worry about it.
I used to say that. You know that one, didn't you?
Can't score from there.
Used to play with Gabs, right? I'd book the Gabs was always graceful, playing the ball out. I'd launch one in the stand and go, Gabs, don't worry, mate, they can't score out there. You go, nor can we. We're 2-0 down, you fucker. I'd be chuckling away.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that is, yeah. I reckon I might be the only player to ever play with steak on their top of their foot.
Wow.
Wow. There was one other story I've got to mention that we spoke about before we came on here. You had a little bit of a set to with Andy Carroll.
Yeah.
What was it, a pre-season game?
It was a pre-season tour, yeah. I'll start the story by saying never fight Andy Carroll.
To be fair, I wasn't planning on it.
he is a tough boy. Where he comes from, big lump, don't fight him. So basically, it was a pre-season tour in Germany. You know it, pre-season. You go away, you end up in a little village somewhere. So we worked hard. It was under Sam. Worked really hard. Had 10 days proper training. Last night, big Sam, have your night out, boys. Find somewhere, go. So like, all right, lovely. Found this shithole in the middle of nowhere. No one in it, but there's like all of us are out. We're in there, and I can only describe this night as like it's like The Hangover. Like you look over and like I vaguely remember Nose walking around like a sword, and like honestly, there was a car was being moved outside. You know, like one of them nights.
Yeah.
It's like what is going on
mental.
here? Like just bizarre stuff. I remember there being like a bowl of fruit about, and we stacked a load of glasses, not like plastic glasses, and just fizzing like fruit at these. It was just a mad night. Towards the end, look across the bar. Kev, Nolan, and Andy are having a bit of a row. Put it that way. Best mates, but like had a beer, and something had gone on. So I've gone over. Nobes has gone over. I've got in the middle of it, and sort of like by this point though, Big Andy, you could tell he wants to go. Me being stupid. You can know. Come on then. I'll have a go. So I swung. And if you ever get Andy on, I'd like to hear his side of it. I swung for Andy and missed by a mile. Like I'm talking like from me to City away. He has clocked me one punch straight on the side of the cheek, and he didn't knock me out. Andy might tell you different. I took a knee. I took a standing 8 count.
Took an 8 count.
Took an 8 count. Took the mandatory 8. I just remember Nobes being in the middle of it, tiny compared to me and Andy, going, "What the fuck's going on here?"
Still got the sword? Or
I don't know what at this point. I don't know. He might have put it away.
Back in
but
the
honestly,
holster.
done me, and he actually broke my cheekbone.
Did he really?
Yeah, broke me cheekbone. But like, good as got. You know what we're like after it. Like, shook hands, pint. Like,
Really?
just one of them things. Do you know what I mean?
On the night, or was it? Did you have to take time, or did you bounce back?
The next morning was funny as well, because obviously broken cheekbone. My face is out here. Sam's obviously caught wind that something's gone on during the night out. I can't remember where Andy was. So basically, Sam sat everyone down in this. It was sort of like, I remember being in a gym at the bottom of this hotel, fuming in front of all the boys. What's gone? I've let you go out. This something, you know, what's gone on? Anyone who was involved, get in that room there. So it was like a little off room off the gym. So I've obviously stood up, face out there. Kev Nolan, Nobes, a few others stood up and went into this gym anyway. And Sam's like, "I'll deal with you a lot later." We're thinking, we're banging trouble here. He's fuming. We're gonna get fined. So as soon, like, we're in the waiting, he's walked in, face like thunder, doors closed. He's gone, "Wait, what a night that was! What's happening here? What's happened to you?" Pointing at me, laughing at me, cheeking. But that was the beauty of Sam. Do you know what I mean? In front of the boys, he's like, he wasn't happy, but he was like, he made quite light of it, and because he knew the boys who were involved, he could trust. But yeah, that was just.
And when you're in that room there, is that the first time you've had a chat with Andy since, or not?
Andy wasn't there. I think Andy was with the physio at the time, but we were good. I'd seen him that night. It was fine. It was nothing. We were laughing and joking and whatever. It's one of them things, isn't it? But
why did you try and punch him?
I don't know.
The bit that's missing.
A bit stupid like that. A bit stupid. I don't know.
Because you've gone over to try and calm it down.
Diffuse the situation. I can't remember what they were not arguing, but was talking about. But I just thought I could be some sort of help in that situation. Yeah. But that was another one with Sam saying about, you talked about his nights out. We done the Dubai trips. Sam's Dubai trips are unreal. Like, you go away, no training. He'd say, like, sort of say there was training. You wouldn't do a lot. It was your time to bond as a team and all that. So he let us do whatever he wanted, pretty much. As long as you're on the beach, 10 o'clock, you'd have a bit of the next morning, you'd have a bit of a count, you'd do a bit of a run, off you go again. Always the last night, so that you'd be with Sam. So the last night I think it was Sam's last trip, he's gone, "Right, kit's outside, this is in the morning, everyone's hanging. Your kit's outside the room, we're training today." Everyone's like, "Really?" He's like, sprung it on us. So we've all got our kit on, we're having a meeting before we leave the hotel, got down, before we thought we were training, he sat there and went, "Only winding you up, go get changed, everyone's drinking with me today. You've had your fun, no one's leaving the hotel tonight, we're doing it as a team, as a staff, we'll all be together, telling a few stories, you're with Sam." So anyway, we've done that, had a great night, everyone telling stories, everyone was great buzz. During the night, he's gone, "Right, if anyone's late for that bus, 9 o'clock, you know, why do they always put the buses on so early? Anyone's late for the bus, you're paying for the staff's bill for the week, basically." So I remember the morning, can't be late. This bill's going to be big. Sam's drinking. It could be, you know, do you know what I mean? It could be astronomical. So everyone's knocking each other up. Get on the bus. So we all sat on the bus. No Sam. So we're thinking, Gaffer's like not like half hour late, like a couple of minutes late. So all of a sudden, these double doors open from the hotel. Sam comes out with his shades on, pulling his case, a little bit like worse for wear. Gets on the front of the bus, but he looked like he was fuming. He was late. He grabbed the microphone. We're thinking, "Oh no, what's going on here?" He's gone, "What a fucking trip that was, boys!" Just carried on. We went back, like those trips, you'd go back and you'd win like 3 on the bounce.
Yeah.
They were just unreal.
Wow.
Just great time. Great days.
Oh, mate. Listen, Ginge, I could listen to the stories all day, and we might actually carry on some of these stories. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Long overdue.
Loved it.
Thanks for coming on, Ginge.
Loved it.
Legend.
Loved
James
it.
Legend.
Been a while.
Top man, Ginge.
Cheers.
Nice.
Cheers.